listening to Chrysalis Color, the podcast. Hello, this is Jorunn from Norway.
And Christine in Canada.
With a podcast about color analysis and how it applies to you in a practical way. We'll talk about how to use your colors to make your days brighter, your wardrobe more enjoyable, and your life easier.
We'll talk about topics that we find interesting, and we encourage you to submit your questions. A podcast listing is available at chrysaliscolor.com under the Podcasts tab.
Hello and welcome to today's podcast in which Christine and Jorunn discuss all things related to color analysis.
And sometimes style.
Yes, and while we do aim for a relatable and non-technical presentation of color analysis, reserving our nerdy tech talk for when we discuss amongst ourselves, our vision is to give you some thoroughly professional insight into the world of color analysis. Today, we deviate completely from our usual professional selves, though, and no trolling, please. All hate mail should be sent to our newly opened P.O. Box in Bora Bora.
Indeed. And you know, Christine, if our listeners are having half as much fun listening as we're having planning and recording our shows, we're doing pretty good here as far as mental health goes. But we can always use more lightheartedness. Most of the time, our silliness is reserved for the planning sessions, and we're kind of shaking it off before we hit that record button. But today, we're bringing you an episode of complete and utter nonsense. But we are inserting a little bit of scientific talk in between, courtesy of Christine. We're discussing two topics.
You can thank me later.
We're discussing two topics of equally dubious usefulness. Can pets have seasons? And can you place celebrities into a season? On to our first question. Do animals have seasons? Can I tell my pet's season to buy them a coat?
I'm sure they do, or they could, and that their colors would be as harmonious as the colors in our seasons. I can't see a reason it wouldn't be so. They're colored with hemoglobin, carotene, melanin. Their colors come from the same pigments as ours, don't they? I really don't know.
Yeah, hemoglobin. I don't care if we can really determine if they have a season. It's just plain old-fashioned fun. In these days of the corona epidemic, staying at home and social distancing, we all suffer from cabin fever. And I think determining one's pet's season is way more fun than counting all the grains of rice in a packet. And we love our pets and we think of them as family members, so it's only natural that we extend our thoughts about season to them also. Just like we think about our Aunt Edna, who's probably a soft summer, or our brother-in-law, who's most certainly some kind of a winter. We can't help it. We think about seasons all the time. So why not extend it to our pets?
And what to buy them as gifts?
Absolutely. So, in the midst of the corona pandemic quarantine, I did something about this. I sent out an email to the people on my mailing list, and I asked them to submit a photo of their pets and what season they think they are. And my readers and I have had all kinds of fun with that. I got lots of photos, and you can see them all in the blog post that I'll link to in the show notes. So join in the fun, and I am still taking entries if people want to submit their photos of their pets.
Maybe I shouldn't go here.
But you will. I know you.
Yeah, I feel I must. I'm trying to figure out how you tell the season. Like, how would you access this information when you can't get to the skin, which is where the full coloring is available and testable? Picture we're covered in fur. How would we know our own season? Fur, like our hair, this is only a partial representation of colors, right? It's only made of melanin.
Oh, come on, Christine. I usually love your scientific approach, and I listen attentively when you talk about the scientific reasons behind our color analysis system. But for just this once, Leave the science. Play along with me here. Let's just look at the surface, like we would look at a coat of fabric. We'll look at the color of the fur, just like that, the texture of the fur, the color of the eyes, and have some fun. Here, I'll go first. I have 2 cats and a dog. The one cat, called Moses, is a high contrast black and white long furred cat, and his facial expression and personality is very standoffish. I'll call him a true winter. My second cat, Mikkel, has short, soft fur of medium silky grey and white, very low contrast, and a very serene and philosophical look about him. I'll call him a soft summer. Our dog, Nanook, is a Samoyed. Dark eyes and a licorice black nose, fur of white with a little bit of yellow sunshine to it. Bright winter, no doubt about it. And I'm sure our listeners have been looking at their pets and had fun imagining what season to put them in. Do you have any pets, Christine?
No, not right now, I don't. But we had cats and dogs growing up. And when the children were small, we had Jessie, who was a German Shepherd lab cross who looked and behaved like a German Shepherd with that touch of lab for sweetness. Black and tan, brown eyes, one of the dark seasons. But, he and many other pets would not have fit into the palettes or the landscapes. I used to wonder at one point if animals do have different color harmonies than we do after all. Now, our cat, Rosie Petal, she was an easy, soft summer. Soft, medium gray, blue, green, yellow eyes. The eye colors, though, mixed together evenly, like a puddle of the same colored paint. I was a veterinarian for 20 some years. I confess that I have looked at the tips of cats' noses and wondered about their season or whether some were warmer or cooler. I didn't come up with any answers. I trusted. Never looked at their eyes for colors and patterns. Your cats, Jorunn, do they have different eye patterns? The lines and the shapes in the iris, the colored part of the eye?
No, they don't. And I think there's a big difference in that animals have uniform colors, and also they don't have a lot of pattern going on in the eyes. I have a fascination about eye patterns in humans, though. If we can deviate towards people for a little bit. For a while, I used to take close-up photos of my clients' eyes just to collect some data as to eye patterns and seasons. Not a lot of value in it, but it's very interesting. But you wouldn't ever look at eye patterns to decide a person's season, right?
Oh, gosh, no. I don't look beyond how the eye color reacts to the testing colors in various ways. But those patterns in eyes are for sure. They're not random. I teach color analysis these days, and the student and I sit in front of my computer for a lunch period during a training course. We explain how it works, but I think the value for the student is mostly historical. Like so many things, there is valid information, but you really got to respect the boundaries. You got to know when you don't know. Some people, I think, disregard color line patterns rather in eyes in color analysis, but they do align with season. They contain a kind of code of information. I don't know what iridologists or ophthalmologists do with it, but I have some idea how it applies to season. Seriously, though, I could know season from eye colors and patterns with a high degree of certainty, maybe 3 times in 10 across the 12 seasons. Maybe not even that. By a high degree, I'm thinking higher than the 80th percentile of being right, which is the least I'd want folks to be spending money on. In person, I'd aim for higher than that, of course. I sometimes find it better when guessing to say which season seems least likely from the eyes. People make better decisions from that.
This is fascinating. I haven't thought about it, but I've been inspired to study cats' eyes after we started working on this episode. My daughter has 2 completely white cats, and their eyes are the most exquisite lilac blue color. but with no discernible eye patterns, though.
I can't recall ever noticing either, and it fascinates me too. I mean, any species of animals, lizards, horses, cats, dogs, they seem to have homogeneous irises. So, are humans the only ones with color variations and geometry in the iris? Like when we put two people's eye close ups side by side, they are remarkably different. You would never see two the same. And I'm talking even in the same season.
That is so true. They're kind of like fingerprints, human irises, aren't they? Well, I must say that after studying my cat's eyes, I highly recommend gazing into the eyes of cats and dogs, by the way. It's very calming. Have you heard the quote by Eckhart Tolle where he says, I have met many Zen masters, all of them cats. It was so pleasant that I almost forgot what I was actually doing this for, what with the purring and pawing and that whole cat on lap mesmerizing effect. But anyway, yes, their irises are fairly even in pattern and color, I would say.
Hmm. Agreed. So the conclusion is, well, we can't know their season, but we do it anyway, just like our next group, which is celebrities.
Yay, celebrities. So many color analysis systems use celebrities as examples. And we've been asked why we don't.
Now, I deliberately avoid it. And I've been asked why there are no pictures of people in Return to Your Natural Colors, the book about color analysis. The short answer, I suppose, goes back to a picture being worth 1,000 words. Only you can't control the words that each person will associate with an image or a gallery of images. And there's a very real risk that it will not be the point you were trying to make.
I know. I get caught up in so many of the wrong things when I see photo examples. I just revisited my Kibbe book the other day after our wonderful conversations with Anna Lazarska. Kibbe's book has photo examples of body type and clothing style. I went back to check a few things in the book and I just couldn't get over the photos in that book and how they've gotten so dated. I'm sure they were current and great illustrations when the book came out, mid 80s, judging by the size of the shoulder pads. I was having a die-hard flashback. Anyway, keeping that in mind, I'm really glad you didn't include photos in your book. It keeps it timeless in a way that you just can't achieve when you use photos.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's the effect I was hoping for. I mean, we all agree that we look different in pictures. It's often hard to believe how different. The reminder might be don't believe everything you see or think, read, or feel. Come to think of it.
Don't believe anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, have that doubt. How much or how little information people need to form an opinion, that's up to them. But I'm here to tell you to know season with a high degree of certainty, yours or anybody else's, you need a lot of information and you got to know what to do with it.
And we also have to keep in mind that celebrity photos are always made up. A celebrity is an illusion of a person, it's not the person. The appearance changes with every movie they make. You don't just wake up in the morning, brush your hair, and look like Marilyn Monroe. And we tend to forget when we compare ourselves how profoundly we change in pictures.
And exponentially more true in the age of Photoshop and every person with an iPhone. YouTubers these days, they are filmmakers. Among all the filters and the editing going on, even regular people don't look like themselves. It's not just celebrities. When you see celebrities in less controlled images, they don't look like themselves. And it's part of their job description to change their appearance. Say, as opposed to Princess Diana, whose celebrity involved a fairly consistent image. She discovered her brand over time, which retained much of the original magic. She just learned her power, right? How to deploy it and leave the world better than she found it by putting her cause in front of her looks. Since we're all watching The Crown, season 4, I have been interested in the hair and brow color for the actor playing Prince Philip. I mean, he kind of looks like he has no eyes.
Yes, but he does look like he has a rusty reddish rug on his head to compensate for the lack of eyes.
Yeah. A celebrity I found interesting. Do you watch David Letterman's series, My Next Guest, on Netflix? The episode with Ellen DeGeneres was surprising. The person, the content, and her coloring. She's interesting to me as someone who knows her style quite well, but not always her colors. And it makes a difference. In her talk show, she looks like a spring summer of some sort, even without the hair color. Whereas on Letterman, her coloring looks sharper than that. And I realized for her show, she's on a set. She's basically acting in her own movie. Whereas the Letterman set, it's a dark theater.
Yes, I think they definitely must be controlling or softening and maybe even warming her image with lighting and makeup on her own show. Speaking of Ellen, I went down the Ellen rabbit hole and found her recent stand-up show on Netflix, the one they talk about in the Letterman episode, Relatable. It's hilarious. Anyway, but on stage there, she has that same sharpness in her features as she has on the Letterman show. I was totally mesmerized by her clear blue eyes and clear skin. And I can't access how her skin reacts, so I resort to eyes and hair, and you can't trust those either because, contacts, hair color. But by now, I'm super suspicious of everything, thinking, has she got blue contact lenses on? And what foundation have they used on her? It's impossible. It's the lighting and the makeup and the screen, all of it.
Yeah. And then there are those celebrities whose appearance is entirely fabricated at all times. Everything is controlled. I think of Kim Kardashian, another one of Letterman's guests, a personality whose whole image is orchestrated at all times. Yeah, for Ellen, the variations must be lighting, right? I mean, what else? The camera settings, filming the show? Well, I'm not sure.
Well, could be anything, like we said. Screen, makeup, time of day. Now that we talk about how things change and more with screens and lighting, we get so thrown off. This is why, even with the pandemic, we're not recommending online color analysis. Online personal color analysis is so desirable for clients as well as analysts. We want it as much as you do, but we can't get behind a product that we don't really believe in. And Christine and I, we had a long conversation about this recently, and we concluded that we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't touch it. It won't work. We talked about color calibration cards, but there are so many steps.
Yeah, the client wouldn't have the calibrations. So then you got to place them around the face digitally. Well, it sounds great, but I'll tell you, I've tried it with all kinds of zoom backgrounds and colors around the face. I can't get it to work for me because nothing happens or not enough happens in the face. The thing is, the colors are locked in the client's image, and you can't see nearly, like almost nothing relative to what happens in person. So what happens? The decision comes back to opinion. Does this look good or does that look good? Which is barely the tip of the iceberg of a real color analysis experience. Taylor Swift and Adele, often seen as summers. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not so sure. Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, often seen as autumns. Not convinced of that either. But what would it matter? What would be the value in knowing their actual season, even if we could? Like the most you could say is, in a given picture, a summer might look like this or an autumn might look like that. It never explains why. Opinions formed without facts on any topic. We're living with plenty of examples in late 2020 as we record this show. What do you do with that? And then people get in the wrong conversations, dissecting images. Well, for me, this is kind of like taking up time arguing a question to which the answer can't be known unless they're typed in person. what's to be gained. In fact, it might put more on the line. We don't use hair color and eye color in a professional setting. For media images, what else have you got? And it's misleading to folks who may one day have the real experience where the first thing we do is cover up the hair.
Yes, we do. I find seasonal typing of celebrities completely futile, and it sidetracks the conversation. It brings color analysis out of where I want it to be. I want color analysis to be about real everyday women and how they present themselves in their real lives, not comparing ourselves to glossy, glamorous, photoshopped people. And I hate the thought that it might be implying that color analysis is as easy as looking at photos of someone.
Absolutely. In the old days, books did have images of regular women. Suzanne Cagle's book, The Essence of You, well, that was a brilliant book. But sometimes the interpretations actually came down to shape and scale of the face and features, I think, not the colors.
Hmm. I understand the fascination, and it's easier to find celebrity examples since our clients are often private individuals who are not interested in appearing in Google or Pinterest. So these days, Christine and I are not posting photos of our clients.
Yeah, right. I never do because I can't control where the images go. Young people can be a lot more comfortable sharing images online, though. And oh boy, I see some beautiful pictures of people in their colors. And I'm happy these pictures are available to show how holistically right it feels when our clothing colors are a true extension of us. These are images people rarely get to see anywhere.
Hmm. But back to typing celebrities. And Christine, we are as guilty as charged. Actually, we are. We use celebrities too. We've talked about Justin Trudeau and Jane Fonda in our podcast episodes, and our dear Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg. But we are discussing a single image of them without committing them to one season. We just use them as examples of how colors interact. And we use them to have fun guessing. And that's why we're having this conversation in this episode.
Yep. Some are easier. Sandra Bullock, Johnny Depp. I wouldn't be surprised if they're dark winters, and that seems consistently how they're typed. It's a lot easier with men because they're less altered. Maybe they have their own hair color more often or a color closer to their own, even in a role. Prince Philip in the Crown episodes. Now that's an exception. It took me a full minute to recognize the actor when I saw him in an interview. I was listening to a podcast last week, and members of the public, they were all women, as I recall, were asked whether the fashion industry had a responsibility to promote something. I can't remember exactly what it was some aspect of diversity. It might have been cultural, race, price, weight. It could have been any of them. Well, the answers were unanimously yes. The fashion industry has responsibility. And not one person expressed the idea that the consumer has responsibility here too, to acquire enough knowledge to make a decision. I mean, it is great when corporations can leave the world better than they find it, something I think millennials look for when they purchase. But hey, fashion is an industry. Their shareholders are looking for them to do better than break even, or there is something wrong with their business model. I mean, call me jaded, but I think the conversation to plan next year's look is what can we spin around again or spark consumer imagination with? Fashion as work of art, well, that's all great and everything, but it's got nothing to do with my life. What will help people feel more beautiful? I am not sure that figures on their agenda.
No. Making people feel more beautiful, that is definitely not on their agenda. Making money off people wanting to feel more beautiful, that's what's on their agenda.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Just saying here that whatever information comes our way, it is our job to decide how much weight we give it. We use celebrities as examples of one thing or another, but like Jorunn said, we're not declaring any celebrity as a particular season.
Yes, and Also, they're dressed, colored, and made up to fit a certain movie role or red carpet look. Well, the men might be too, come to think of it. Johnny Depp is no stranger to hair color and eyeliner.
Sometimes we can assume celebrities are always gorgeous. This association may happen more in some places or cultures in the world than others. It's not really big here in Canada. But there might be an association between money and appearance success, like Kim Kardashian again. You know, if you're rich and you got the logos and the labels, you must look great. Or location, the idea that all Parisian women are chic and stylish. Looks like we have this brainwave meltdown. Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow, she's gorgeous no matter what she wears. I don't know, reminds me of watching home decorating shows. Yeah, okay. Here is this very beautiful kitchen with this paint and those cabinets and that lighting. But anyway, back to me in my kitchen is totally different. That is not going to happen in my house. But it's about finding ideas and seeing visuals for those ideas. The whole kitchen might not happen. And celebrity images too. They're great as examples, like a hair color for a season. As you said, Jorunn, the images are available. Do your clients ever ask you about celebrities?
No, it's never come up in the conversations I've had with my clients. Not sure why, really. Perhaps people here are more concerned with their own reality?
My clients have asked sometimes, but we're back to a question with no answer. Like, what if we assume Nicole Kidman is a summer? So what? Sometimes I can eliminate a season. I don't think she's an autumn. Sometimes I can make that guess in a live person. What season are they not? But just as often, I don't know. I ask for pictures of draping models so students are sure to see a variety of coloring types. Well, I can tell you the person who walks in the door is entirely different from what I expected. And if I had tried to eliminate one season from their photo, I would have been wrong. The soft summer in the photo drapes as a bright spring, and so on. Even sitting in the same room with them before the analysis, I don't know what's going to happen when that drape lands. I was asked recently about how we make season decisions in person, and the person said, "You mean something changes?" Yeah, I totally mean that. Once the drape lands, once the colors switch, something happens in the face. Actually, like 10, 20, 30 things happen in 1 to 5 seconds. Well, if you missed any of them, switch them again and keep switching till you have all the information you need. Doctors don't do half a blood test, right? I'll change a drape 3 to 6 times before deciding. It's just too much information to see in one go. For sure, never less than 3, closer to 8 at the beginning, as the client and I learn how the many colors in their face are reacting to drape colors, and how are we going to make decisions from there. Is that about what you do, Jorunn?
Yes, at least 3 times I switch the drapes, the very least. And then I do 3 to 4 more so that the client sees what I see. It's so important. The client needs to see what's changing. And they need to understand why they're not the other 11 seasons.
I think that's a really important point. The client needs to see. Because if I were a client and I were just told, you're a light summer, for example, my next question or the next question from the first person I meet would be, oh, how come I'm not a light spring? How come I'm not a bright winter? Hey, Jorunn, you, you want to rock the boat a little?
Do I? Oh, yes. Bring it on. I always want to rock the boat. And this is our silly episode. And finally, now let's have some fun typing a celebrity. That's what you meant, right?
Sure. Yeah, we play the game too. We just don't attach anything to the decision. It's just fun to talk shop, with no strings attached.
But we'll never bring it into the color studio. Let's pick a celebrity and find some movies that she's been in and some pictures taken of her.
Let's do it. And look at her image the way we would as color analysts. We talk about the many boundaries of photographs, but I don't remember we've ever demonstrated what they are. Like, for example, listeners are not going to hear us talk about whether she's warmer or cooler because we don't know what cameras and software are imposing. We don't know the truth of the colors surrounding her.
Yes, and this is where we'll ask our listeners to turn to the show notes in the Chrysalis Color Analysis website, and they will be labeled just like we're saying them here. Picture 1 is where we see Cate Blanchett in a Western movie. I have no idea which one. But if you only saw her like this, in soft colors and those ruddy cheeks and the caramel blonde hair, what season would you say she was? Some kind of spring, maybe. Or do we think the jacket kind of looks like a rug beside her delicately transparent skin? So then perhaps we would guess a light summer.
Yes, that jacket looks bulky. There's some continuity in the colors with the hair, but not enough to put them in the same season. Meaning, if we were given a picture of her face, just as you see it here, and then asked to paint a body or outfit below as an extension of her own colors, I don't imagine we'd pick this green. We might pick a green like this, but not identical. Light summer seems believable. This would be a light summer wearing an autumn jacket. On an autumn, the jacket style might not be perfect for the woman, but the effect I don't think would be so bulky. Okay, picture 2. How about winter? So, what do I think about this? I'm looking at this picture. Hollywood blonde hair. I got no feelings or thoughts about that. It's just there. Then we got orange blush under those eyes, so I get no opinion there either. There's no information I can extract. Maybe that's contour. It kind of looks sort of low in the placement. Okay, but this isn't about Cate, though. Looking around, what can I trust? Have the eyes been digitally saturated? I don't know. Still nothing. The black is far from the face, but the bottom of the face is way darker than the top half. I mean, it might be the angle of the light, but in real life, I might have a sense of two faces collaged together. The lips and the black are okay together, but if we saw the lip color, we'd probably be surprised by whatever the original is. I can see some detail in the black, which one might not on a summer. It would likely be just a black blob. I'm stuck, Jorunn. I am stuck. I am no further ahead. You? Could you buy her as a winter?
Not really. I keep thinking, are those blue contacts? Her eyes are intensely blue, and I'm getting a little sidetracked by that orange apricot blush. I'm not at all convinced she's a winter from looking at this. Maybe they're just balancing the black with a lot of black eye makeup. Nah, we're not getting anywhere here. How about moving on to picture number 3, which is a photo of Cate Blanchett in The Hobbit? Quite different from how they made her up for the Lord of the Rings movies, where she also was Lady Galadriel. In The Hobbit, she has this creamy yellow pastel look, which is all suggesting an ethereal light spring.
Completely different human being, which could be success for an actor, right? Chameleon is part of the job.
Yes, sometimes more successful than other times. So over to the next photo, which is picture 4, Cate Blanchett in summer territory. That photo of her in that blue cloche hat, you could fool me into thinking she was some kind of a summer.
Yeah, me too. The eyes are more believable here, which makes me double suspicious of the eye color in the winter picture. What I love here is that this is the first image where her hair and her eyes make sense together. And second, where her eyes are not competing with what she wears, which happens very often in images of this person. Appearance in which eyes take a back seat to this or that or something else, that's not my idea of success. So much of what we give and receive from others, it's in the eyes. And if our attention is taken up with, well, logos and lips, Another choice. And it's quite important with light eyes like Kate's. Helps when eyes are big, back to Diana. Maybe when eyes are dark, they're more visually available. But even then, when they're unsupported, appearance takes a step back. Light eyes, they got the magic of air, water, and sky energies. Why would you surround them with black lines?
I totally agree. And the lipstick in this photo makes sense with the rest of the image.
Yeah, it's reasonable at least, isn't it? Might be a little heavy for the eyes, but I'm sure there were worse choices. On to picture 5. Kate has red lips and apricot hair. Hmm. This is one of those anything can look like anything pictures. It's pretty. Now, if we extended the body, we'd have a large area of that green dress. Now, I'm not so sure now that our attention wouldn't be taken over by the dress. The idea is for every color to look better for being together with every other, regardless of the size or placement. Now, I'm not getting that feeling here. Also, one of those, okay, yeah, but who in your regular life could pull this off and go about her day? Who do you know looks like this? And therefore, what does this have to do with me? But yeah, the top half of the head, for sure, there's some pretty things going on.
Yes, but all I can see is the lipstick. Top of the head, top half of the head is kind of disappearing. Everything else is bland. To me, she would be the woman wearing that red lip. If I was to describe her after seeing her, I don't think I'd remember anything more about her.
Kind of a shame with those eyes.
Hmm.
Let's finish up with an image of a darker ash hair that I found super interesting. Now I can see the woman, the person. I like it. In my real world, I'd hire her. I'd talk to her. But I'm Canadian, eh?
Yes, well, I'm Norwegian, and we would both talk to her. I think I'd be suspicious of the blonde. I'd gladly sit down next to this one, though. So the bottom line is, who knows? Nobody knows. That's who,
Yep.
except maybe herself.
Right. Right. It's like with pets. The conclusion is that we can't know season, but it is fun to speculate, to project a season of colors onto a person and imagining what might happen. Keyword, imagine.
Indeed. And we will include links to all the images in the show notes so our listeners can be just as confused as I am. Oh, we had some fun here, didn't we? Thank you so much for joining us today, and please tune in next time when we promise to be less silly. And that will be December 18, when our friend and style coach Anna Lazarska joins us again for a 3rd episode on style expression. And that will be our last episode in 2020.
Thanks for being here, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.